So I've been making a lot of maps in the BTD6 map editor for quite some time now. And the one thing that we haven't done yet is we haven't made a really hard map to beat. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing today. We are going to be making an extra map in the BTD6 map editor. But before we jump into that, we need to take a look at some of the extra maps to get a little bit of an idea of what we want our map to look like. So if we take a look at the extra maps, they all have kind of a similar theme where they all have at least 4 pathways, or the pathway is like really short. Unfortunately, we can't really do anything along the lines of like workshop because we don't have a path that will actually speed up the balloons. So workshop is going to be out of the question for like making a extra map. Muddy puddles would be a really easy one, but I mean, we already have muddy puddles. We already have a bloody puddles. So I don't want to use one of these as like a inspiration for my map. I kind of want to go with something along the lines of like sanctuary or flooded valley, or maybe even something like quad. All right, so I think I have a rough idea of what I want to go with. So let's go ahead and jump into the map editor really quick. So the pathway that I'm going to start off with, I'm just going to have the basic green background. I'm not going to do anything crazy. I'll start adding some different props and stuff and like kind of choose what direction I'm going to take my map as soon as I place, or as soon as I get the path set up. So the first thing that like popped into my mind, what if we had like pathways come in over here? We had another pathway come in over here at the top, and then they all like met in the middle. I think that would be like really cool, and it would be really challenging at the same time. So let me go ahead and get the path set up, and I'll go ahead and like use this as like a rough outline for what I want to do with this map. So this is kind of what I mean by like making all of like the paths intersect in the middle of the map. I thought this would be a really cool idea. I don't know if it would be like expert worthy, but I was thinking that this is to be like a really cool map design and something that I haven't really seen yet. Plus, I feel like it would be pretty challenging as well. So I'm debating on whether or not I want to leave a little bit of room on the inside here, because if I leave a little bit of room, then you guys should go ahead and like place down a tack shooter in the very middle. So it wouldn't be like super hard, but I do think it would still be a little bit of a challenge. All right, so let me go ahead and clean up these pathways a little bit. I don't know if I want to keep like the triangle formation or if I want to like make them a little bit curved. Let me go ahead and like smooth this up a little bit, and I'll bring you guys back in just a second. All right, so this is the kind of like what I wanted to go with here. So we have 4 different paths, and they all like intersect here in the middle, but I made it so like they weren't super close, so you couldn't get away with like just using a singular tack shooter in order to beat it. So I think this is kind of what I wanted to go for. I just need to make sure like all of the paths like line up, because I want them all to like look uniform and stuff. I mean, once I start adding a little bit of a detail and stuff, I don't think it'll make that big of difference, but I do want it to look good. All right, so right now, I think these two are about as close as I'm going to get them. And then this one up here looks about even with this one down here. Let me go ahead and double check here. Yeah, I think that's about as good as we're going to get. So now the next thing we need to think about is what we want to use as like props for this map. Like I've been thinking about like what design would like suit this. And I was thinking about like making it like a intersecting mountain range. Like you would have like mountains over here. You would have mountains here and then mountains over here. And then it would all come down here in the center. And then I was thinking about like turning the center into like a water, into like a little like pond, and I'll have like the pond come in between the 2 pathways here. I'll have like the pond extend up here, and I think that would look kind of cool. Let me go ahead and like set up like the mountain range and stuff, and I'll see if that's something that I want to go with. And then the first thing that I want to do, obviously I'm not going to be using this path here. I'm going to turn these all into invisible pathways for now. That way I don't like base anything off of the pathway, because I have like I have something in my head that I want to go for. I want to create my own pathways similar to what I've done in the past 2 maps, because I really like the way that those pathways turned out, and I think it looks really, really cool. Now, instead of like using this background, what if we swap the background over to a desert background? Because I think a desert background would look really cool, and then I'll use like the red rocks, and I'll make it look like a ravine. I think that's what I want to go for. And then this is like kind of the vibe that I'm going for here. Like we'll have these like rocks along the outside edge of the map. And then I'll add a little bit more detail once we get like all of the like a basic outline of the like a mountain range down. or like the ravine down. And then after I get the ravine, like the basic layout for the ravine set up, that's when I'll start like going a little bit more in depth by like adding some more rocks to like make these rock walls look a little bit more like, I guess like detailed, I guess that's the word that I'm going for. All right, so we'll go ahead and add another rock here like this, and I think this is starting to look pretty good. And then the only thing left, do I want to add water here? Let's see. So I suppose I should add the water first, because if I add the water first, then I can like kind of like base everything else off of like the water and stuff. So the idea that I had is that the watering hole would kind of like do a shape like this, and then it would come over here like this. I'm just gonna have like this one side where it extends like this, and then we'll come up here. Let's just go ahead and drag this down here. There we go. And then I thought this would look like kind of interesting and unique if I designed my map like this. Then how does that look? I think once I add like more rocks, it'll look a little bit better. And then I'll add myself like a couple of trees as well, because this will be like a kind of like an oasis. And that's kind of the vibe that I'm going for, is like it's an oasis in the middle of a desert. Now, the only question is, do I want to leave it like this, or do I want to go with something else in the middle? Let's see. Maybe I should set my path up first. I think if I set my path up first, then it'll give me a little bit of a better idea of like where I should like place different areas and stuff, because after I get my path placed down, then it'll be a lot easier to like kind of discern where or what direction I want to take my map with, or map to. The only question is, what kind of rocks do I want to use? What if I think I'm going to use the red rocks, but the only problem with the red rocks is that if I use them, then it's gonna like kind of blend in a little bit too much. But I think I could come up with something that would like make it not blend in as much. But I'm just gonna go ahead and get started by adding these rocks, and then after I get the pathway placed down, that's when I'll like make my final decision. For all I know, I could remove all of these red rocks and I could use like a different rock or something like that. Now I'm picking up on some tricks after like making so many maps, and instead of like placing them like one at a time in a row, what I'm doing is I'm just copying and pasting these rocks, and then once I like fill in or like have like a bunch of them placed around, then I could go ahead and mess with the size a little bit. That way I don't have to take like as much time like individually placing all of these rocks, then like rotating them and then resizing them, because if I do it like this, it'll actually save me quite a bit of time. I'm actually gonna go ahead and hide this area really quick because I want to get this pathway set up first. So next thing I want to do, let me go ahead and move this. Then let's go ahead and come back over here. Let's add all of these different rocks, because we could turn each of these rocks into like a different pathway, or a different like pebble in our pathway. All right, so it's coming together quite nicely right now. The hardest part is just like getting the basic like layout for the rocks down. And then after we get the basic layout for like the pathway down, that's when we need to come back through and add the detail with the smaller rocks. Then after we do that, then things will get a lot easier. Because once we have like the layout of the pathway set, then it's just like going through and like adding all of the different props and the details. So as long as this path looks good, then I feel like this is going to be a pretty challenging yet interesting map at the same time. Now, when we're creating our pathway, we don't want our pathway to be like straight lines. We want some of the rocks to like stick out a little bit on the sides. That way it like makes our pathway come to life a little bit more, because it won't look perfect. It'll be like a perfect imperfection. That's what I'm currently going for, because the straight line path doesn't look good as the path that has like a bunch of different rocks. It almost has like a natural feel to it, which is what I'm going for. Now, while we're doing this, we also need to be mindful of the prop limit. So we need to be like kind of careful at how many like rocks we place down, because if we place down too many, then we're not going to be able to go as in detail as I would like to. So I'm trying to like fill in like the big spaces as the best I can by like taking some of these smaller rocks and like putting them in between. And so far it's coming together quite nicely, a little bit better than I initially thought it was. because when I first started off, I was like, ah, great, this isn't going to turn out as good as I initially wanted to. But now, like, I'm starting to add more of these details. This map is really starting to come to life, or at least the pathways are. All right, so we're almost done with the pathway here. The only thing I'm doing right now is I'm adding a little bit of girth to the pathways, because I don't want it to be like a super like thin. Like I don't want like straight lines. I want the pathway to seem like really prominent on my map. So that's exactly what I'm doing right now, is I'm giving it a little bit of a substance. All right, there we go. I think that looks pretty good. Or at least as far as I'm concerned, I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get with like the custom-made pathway. I think I did a decent job here. Let me go ahead and just add a couple more down here, because it's a little bit barren down here at the bottom, and I think that looks all right. Like, it's not perfect, but it's not bad. All right, so now that we have our pathways set up, the next thing we want to do is we want to decide if we want to keep this like a canyon wall, or if we want to do something a little bit different. Like, I think I'm going to nix my plan of like turning the middle into water. So let me go ahead and come back over here to the area. We'll get rid of this area, and then we'll turn this area over here into water. Then we'll turn this area over here into water. And then we'll have this area up here, like a bunch of like leafy greens. Or actually, we'll turn this water, or this spot up here, into a watering hole as well. And then this area down here, we'll just keep like blank, and then we'll go ahead and like throw in some like desert bushes, and I think that would look pretty good. Let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. Let me finish with the canyon walls first. So we'll go ahead and place one canyon wall here. Let's go ahead and rotate it a little bit like this. And then what I want to do is I actually want to add a canyon wall in the middle here as well. Can I add it? I need this to face this way. There we go. And that's gonna look good. Cool. So I plan on doing this for all 4 of these pathways, and it'll seem like there's small cracks in like a cave or in like a ravine, where there's like really small openings that will lead to like a small watering hole, where like animals and stuff like hang out, and I think that would be pretty cool. And that's like the whole vibe that I'm going for. Let me see. So let's go ahead and place you here. We'll throw this up here. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit smaller, and there we go. All right, now we have the basic layout for the rock wall. I'll add a little bit more detail as we progress. I'm debating on whether or not I want to cover up the entrances here, but I kind of want to leave them open at the same time. If only there was like something that we could use, or if only we could like change the height of props. That way it could like show that like there's a cave entrance or something like that. I don't want to turn this into a cave, but it'll have like a cave feeling, if that makes sense. So for the watering hole, let's go ahead and like, it doesn't have to be perfect. Let me go ahead and do this. We'll add another one over here. There we go. And then let's go ahead. We'll edit this one over here. We'll bring it up like this. We'll have it curve funky like this. And I kind of want this one to be a little bit more like into the rocks. All right. And then we just have this last area here that we need to edit. And after we get done editing this area, then we can start adding a little bit of extra detail and whatnot. I'm not sure like what I want to do with like the watering holes, like as far as like what kind of detail I want to add, but I think that looks all right for now. The next thing I want to do, let's go ahead and add a little bit of shade around these rocks to add a little bit more detail. Actually, let's nix that. I think we're gonna have to add like something else next to or on this path, because adding the shade just didn't look right. What if we added like these like small rocks? If we did that, then it wouldn't look as good. Let's try it. We'll add some here. That way we can like kind of mix up the color a bit, because right now the color is like just red and like the sand background, and I don't think it looks good. Like it doesn't look bad, but I think we can make it look a little bit better. The only problem with these darn stamps is that they're random, so it's gonna take us forever to actually get the correct placement for all of these rocks. Ninja Kiwi, allow us to like choose which direction we want these stamps to face. There we go. And the reason why I did this is because I felt like the rocks in the background, they just like clashed and the rock or the pathway seemed a little bit out of place. But if we add these, like a couple of like the rocks are like covered up with sand, I think this brings like a whole new atmosphere to our pathway, which is what I was going for. Now, the next thing we want to do, let's go ahead. We'll add ourselves a couple more like rocks over here, like kind of like make the rock wall look a little bit better. Because right now it looks all right, but I think we can make it look even better by adding like more rocks. There we go. That adds a little bit more substance to our wall by just adding a couple of these rocks. Perfect. Now, the next thing we want to do, let's go ahead and add ourselves a little bit of shade along these rock walls to make them blend in a little bit better. Where's the big shade? Here's the big shade. All right, so we'll do this, and we'll do this all along the rock wall to make the rock wall seem like there's a little bit of shade next to it. And this will make the rock wall blend in with our map a little bit better. There we go. Now, the next thing we want to do, let's go ahead and add we need to add ourselves to some like desert trees. So the first desert tree that we'll add this one over here. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. We'll rotate it towards us like this. And then let's go ahead and add this tree, and then we'll have this tree coming off of it like this. If I could like actually click it correctly. There we go. And then let's go ahead and add ourselves like another tree over here. Now, I don't want to make it like insanely hard, but then again, this is an expert map. So you know what? I'm sorry, guys, but you guys aren't going to get very good sight lines here. So let me see. I need to make sure like the trees are facing correctly. Let's see. Let's make it a little bit bigger. There we go. And then we'll add one more over here. We'll have it like facing this way. We need to rotate it. We need to tilt it back towards where it was, like this. Then after we get all of these trees placed down, then we'll go ahead and like add a little bit more detail to like the pond and stuff. Actually, let me go ahead and remove this one. I don't want to make it like insanely hard. If I add that tree there, then we're not really gonna be able to see like the pathway, which will make this map a little bit like too hard. I want to make sure that you guys can actually see where you're placing your towers. All right, now that we have all of this, dude, unfortunately, we don't have any like actual shrubs that we can use. Is there any other stamps that we can use that go well with the desert background? We could add a couple of like these dark spots. I use this stamp on the swamp map that I just made. And I think it'll look pretty good. It'll add a little bit of contrast to like this really bright background. And yeah, that looks really good. What about this? Not really feeling that. Let's see. Is there anything else that we can add? We could add like these sandbars over here in the water to add a little bit more color to our water. I was debating on whether or not to do lily pads, but when you're in a desert, you're not really going to see too many lily pads. So we'll add like these sandbars to like break up the water a bit. And then we'll also add these sunspots, because the sunspots can add that little bit of detail that we're looking for in the water. Then hopefully Ninja Kiwi gives us like some more options in the next update for like different props that we can use. Let's see here. What else do we want to add? We could do a couple of cactuses, but let's go ahead and like not do cactuses. Instead, what kind of props or what other props can we add down here? It's unfortunate that they really don't have like too many options for us to like add for the desert. The only other thing that we could add is like this like grass effect. I think this grass effect looks pretty good for like a desert themed maps. So let's add like a couple of these like grass effects around the map, just to like add a little bit more detail. And then let's go ahead and add a little bit of shade around the trees as well. Where's my stamped icon? There we go. Let's add a little bit of shade around the trees because you guys know that you have to add shade, otherwise the trees will look out of place. And then guys, like, I think that's about all we need to add here. Like, this is definitely going to be an X-Expert map. Now, the only thing that I'm a little bit worried about is this tree down here. I was debating on whether or not to add some more trees over here, but I think this would be like a really good spot if somebody wanted to like place down a couple of farms. Then they have a spot where they can place down a couple of farms to make a little bit more money. because like I was saying, this is definitely going to be an expert map, but because of how far I spaced out the pathways. So this is going to be really interesting to see if like anybody can actually beat this on Chimps. Next thing, how do these like dust clouds look? For like a little bit of effect. I really like the way that looks. Like it almost looks like there's clouds floating through the sky. Yeah, we'll go ahead and keep that. And then for the music, now unfortunately I don't think there's any music that would go with like a desert theme. Let me go ahead and see if I can find something. All right, I think this music kind of like fits the theme of the desert rocky spot, or the desert rocky theme that we're going for. So let's go ahead and stick with this music, and then let's go ahead and play our map to see exactly how hard it is. Okay, so it looks like one of my paths are invalid. Which pathway is invalid? Hello? Path verified. Path not long enough. Okay, so this path's not long enough, so I'm gonna need to, oh dude, that's so dumb. I didn't even realize that I didn't make it long enough. So I'm gonna need to like change or like move these rocks a little bit further down. But that's not like a super big deal. I'm also gonna have to remove those stamps and move the stamps a bit too. I'm also gonna have to check my other path to make sure that the other path on the other side is long enough. Because if this one wasn't long enough, then I imagine that the other one's not long enough either. Man, I wasn't paying attention. Remove those two and then come back over here. Where are you? I think it's this. No, it's not that one. It's this one. Oh, darn it. Everything's falling apart. Now I need to re-add those sunspots. There we go. And that's better. Now hopefully this bottom pathway is long enough. All right, path verified and path verified. All right, so all four of my pathways are good. I'm not sure why this top pathway wasn't long enough, but now that we went ahead and we fixed it, we should be good to go ahead and play our map and actually publish our map as well. There we go. That's a lot better. So let's go ahead and we'll play this on easy standard. Again, I want to play it on easy standard, and then you guys can go ahead and attempt to beat it on Chimps. And of course, you guys will have to let me know if you guys are actually able to beat it on Chimps. Now, one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and swap around my hero over to Quincy, because I think Quincy would do a little bit better for this map. Yeah, our Quincy definitely is going to do really good here because he has quite a large range. And then we'll go ahead and we'll place down a dart monkey right next to him, and then we'll grab ourselves another dart monkey as well. And we'll place like a second dart monkey here. So this is going to be really interesting to see if people will be able to beat this on Chimps, because I don't know how you would want to start this on Chimps. Well, actually, I do know. You guys would have to start with like a triple dart monkey start, and then probably go into like a quad dart monkey start as well. Man, it's going to be really interesting to see if anybody can actually beat this map on Chimps. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and challenge each and every single one of you guys out there. I want to see if you guys can actually beat this map on Chimps, because this is going to be a pretty tough map. And I don't know, guys, what do you guys think? What do you guys think of my very first expert map? Like, do you guys think it's too easy? Do you guys think it's too hard? Do you guys think it's not detailed enough? Or do you guys, or do these guys really not like the theme? Like, I kind of like the theme. The only thing I wish there was like more options for like desert props, because right now there's not a lot of options, so I was really limited to what I could use. I almost wanted to like take a couple of trees and like make the trees really small, but if I did that, then we would come in to some issues with the hitboxes, because I've worked with the trees before, and there's always an issue with the hitboxes when you like change the size of props like this. All right, so the dart monkey strategy that I'm using is working pretty good for easy mode. Of course, I mean, it's easy mode. I mean, all maps are easy on easy mode, but again, it's going to be really interesting to see if anybody can actually beat this on Chimps. Yeah, you see what I mean by the weird hitboxes? Like, I should have enough room to place a sniper here, but unfortunately I don't. So let's go ahead and place our sniper over here. Let's go ahead and upgrade him up to full metal jacket, and we'll go and upgrade him to even faster firing. That way we don't need to worry about lead balloons. Yeah, that's a really weird hitbox. I think in order to fix that, I would have to like tilt this tree back up a little bit. but I don't want to do that because I really like the way that this tree looks. And I know I say this in every single one of my videos, but guys, if you guys have any really cool ideas for like maps that you guys would like to see me design, if you guys want to see me create like a even harder expert map, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. Or if you guys have like a theme that you guys want to see me create a map with, again, please feel free to let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to like try and come up with a really cool map design for the theme that you give me in the comment. Now, it's not going to be too difficult for us to beat this because I went ahead and I bought myself a Moab Assassin, and then for round 40, the only thing we have to do is activate a Moab Assassin. I really like the way that they reworked the Moab Assassin because this is going to make a lot of the harder maps a lot easier because you only need to get a Moab Assassin for round 40. And there we go. And we have officially beaten our expert map. So the next thing we need to do is we need to come up with a really cool name for this map. I still don't know what I want to call it yet. Like, we could always like do a public statement for can you expert or true expert map. Now we need to like come up with a different name. Maybe like Rocky Path or Quarry, not Quarry. What else could we name this? Man, I'm so bad at coming up with names. Let's call it, I don't want to call it Ravine because we already have a ravine. Let's call it Redstone Path. I mean, the pathway is made from redstones. There's a lot of like redstones throughout the entire map. So I think this name really suits this map. But all right, dudes, if you guys would like to play this map for yourself and play this on Chimps, and of course, let me know if you guys can actually beat this on Chimps. Here is the map code right here. And of course, that's gonna do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you guys hit that like button, and I'll see you dudes in the next one.